Welcome to Nerdcultuur. Today we're talking about the Netflix documentary Indian Predator, The Butcher of Delhi. I'm doing this one in English since it does revolve around India and I actually watched it in the original Hindi language as well. So apparently Netflix automatically just does an English dub if you don't change it, but I always like experiencing material in its original form. And obviously the last couple of years we've seen a sharp increase in interest in a lot of these true crime documentaries and podcasts and all that. And a lot of them focus on a lot of well-known serial killers like Ted Bundy or Richard Ramirez, but I like that this one kind of picks a more obscure serial killer, even though I would imagine maybe in India he's a lot more well-known than some of the other more Western serial killers, because I figured this was probably a big news story over there as well. And I thought this documentary was a pretty neat little package to get a good grip of what happened in this case within a span of 2 hours, because it's only 3 40-minute episodes and the first one kind of focuses on the police and their attempt to try and catch this guy. Because the serial killer in this case was almost like a real life version of the Riddler. He would literally leave these riddles for the police to solve. And he kind of had a very twisted way of sending the message, because every time he would drop off a body part and then leave a note attached to it. But then in the second episode the police is kind of able to catch this guy and we kind of get the backstory of who he actually is. I think his name is Chandrakant or something, but I think I'll just continue calling him the Indian Predator because I don't like to give people like this credit. This Indian Predator did have some pretty interesting motivation to do what he did, because he did hold a grudge against the system and the whole corruption in the police force. So to some extent he was kind of able to motivate and like argue his own perspective and for why he was doing all this. He was at least able to justify it to himself. And like a lot of other serial killers, if you would meet him you probably wouldn't even know that right away. Like he had a lot of charm. He was able to convince people to keep their guards down, and as soon as they did he would just strike. But he would always first approach them as a friend or a romantic lover. He wouldn't be like the first guy you would expect to be this crazy. And his craziness is even further confirmed in the third episode, where we kind of hear different accounts of people who were in contact with him and were able to experience some time with him. And then they also bring in like the experts to kind of commentate on his whole psychological condition and why he was able to do all the things that he did. I think it's a pretty interesting case study, but it does leave you a little bit unsatisfied because the damage is already done, and even though this dude does rot in prison for the rest of his life, I think he kind of got off a little bit easy. Like they were still able to reach out for this documentary and ask him if he wanted to participate, or his family members, but if it was up to me he would probably just be executed. But I also thought it was quite interesting the way they discussed like the differences between Delhi being a major city and some of the other victims he was able to find in like smaller rural areas. Like some villages where there were maybe only about 100 people and everybody knew each other. Even there he was still able to do his thing. And it's definitely a scary situation, but it does get me a little bit more interested in like these types of stories from all around the world. Like if there's another really great Indian true crime story or documentary I should check out, please let me know, because I would be very interested in watching that. But yeah, did you guys get a chance to watch Indian Predator, The Butcher of Delhi? It's streaming on Netflix right now. Let me know what you thought of it. Thanks for watching my review anyway, and subscribe to my channel to keep up with everything going on in Nerdcultuur.